Hi, everybody. I want to share with you my presentation on Armenian culture. Content. Here's my introduction. It is for thousands of years, the Armenian culture has preserved their identity through language, faith, and art. Armenian is located in the South Caucasus, formed around Georgia, Turkey, and Azerbaijan, and Iran. The capital, Yerevan, which sits near Mount Ararat, one national symbol is ingrained in Armenian identity in that mountain. I believe it's called Ararat, an integral part of Armenian identity. This is a symbol of it's a national symbol and is sacred that shows up in myth and religion. Here's the map right here. Armenian history is one of the world's oldest nations. Their roots go back to the Iranian kingdom, 9th century BCE, the first country to adopt Christianity as a state religion in 301 CE. The Armenian endures centuries of conquest of Ottoman rule and tragedy in the Armenian genocide. This created a global diaspora that sustains the Armenian culture outside of its borders. This man right here is an Armenian man, and this photo was taken in 1948. The lady that I interviewed, her name is Caroline, and this is her grandfather who was survived by the Armenian genocide. He ended up in a French orphanage in France. His parents, brothers, and sisters were murdered. Here's a quote that she was taught, that Armenians are taught to never lose sight of who they are and where they come from when living in other places. When I look at this photo, that quote goes well with it. Here is a picture of Caroline and her grandfather. Right here was in the 1980s. He passed away when she was about 5 years old. Carolyn celebrates the fact that she is here today, even after over 100 years of the genocide. Armenians are taught to never lose sight, again, of who they are and where they come from when living in other places. This flag is an interpretation of the Armenian flag. It consists of red, blue, and orange, which is an apricot color, horizontal looking stripes. The red symbolizes the blood that was shed for freedom and the struggle for survival. The blue represents the peaceful sky and national hope. The orange stands for industrious spirit and courage. These symbolic colors represent the Armenians' national identity. Together, they embody resilience. The primary language is Armenian. They continue to flourish in the diaspora, schools, literature, and demonstrating that language can survive. Armenian has two branches, Western Armenian and Eastern Armenian. The Western is historically spoken in the Ottoman Empire and now across the diaspora. Eastern Armenian is the official language of the Republic of Armenia. And here's the Apostolic Church, 301 CE, Christianity. That's the religion. They are very strong in their religion and their Jesus and worshiping God. The miracle traditions say many. Saints and relics show everyday faith, blending spirituality with community life. The celebrations, they celebrate the remembrance of the genocide back in April 24th, 1965. And Bardavar, right here is the Joyful Water Festival. is what they also celebrate. Traditional clothing is, I believe it's pronounced Taraz. It's a traditional Armenian dress, part of Armenian national identity expression. Costume is worn by the Armenian dancers. Wearing a Taraz costume is associated with an old Armenian game, Gembet Teka. It is also complemented with jewelry. That is on my Armenian outfit, or the costume. Go into foods. That's like me and my grandkids. Okay, so the Armenian cuisine, they're close to Mediterranean cuisines. They make lamb, pork, barbecues. Those are what's usually eaten during celebrations. Grape leaves stuffed in cabbage, peppers, vegetables, and rice. The bread called lavash. They also do not buy their salad dressings in a store. They buy them, they actually make their own using only olive oil, vinegar with added spices. Another one is harissa and Gada's comfort food. Bread, lavish. Lavish is a flat bread that looks like a tortilla. Lavash, I believe that's what it's called. Lavash is traditionally made using coals and it's usually cooked, dug out in the ground. Caroline has told me that when they used to make it in her family that they would actually slap the dough next to the oven to where it flattens out. We usually use rollers, but they do it that way. Political views. The diaspora communities preserve Armenian culture, language, and global political advocacy. Code of regulations, a new socio-cultural order into the Armenian community. Their rebirth is the term for the Armenian middle class and intelligentsia. Integration and preservation of certain traditional values with Europeans. Here's another part of the political view is her name is Betty. She's a published memoir and it's called My Maternal Grandmother, 2004. It's a book on human rights. It's a human rights lawyer in Istanbul, recovery of Armenian identity. This book expresses the need via Armenian culture to be recognized. It's inhumane to disregard one's own roots under pressure, threats, and fears, he stated in her book. Music. The instrument that's played traditionally in Armenian is I believe it's called a udak, and this is a traditional instrument. And it's the music is a form of communication, feelings and language instead of words. This melody notes expresses the emotional state of the composer to impact his listeners. Artsex is a musical composition by Era, reflection of long-awaited silence that breaks through the eternal struggles against violence. Sports in Armenians popular. The popular one is horse racing. This demonstrates strength and skill. Wrestling is another ancient sport in Armenian culture. It shows bravery and strength, along with developing discipline and character. Sports promoted national identity and unity. The government played a role in making sports happen for the Armenian culture. Art and artifacts. These are called stone crosses. These are at the Armenian Genocide Memorial. These right here are manuscripts or monasteries that are linked art and faith. Memorial monuments preserve and communicate memory. memory of the tragedy of to the Armenian people. This symbolizes survival. Armenian, Western Armenian literature. So right here, her name is Rahu Isa, and she was born in 1840 to 1901, the first Armenian woman novelist. She contributed to women's literature in the late 1880s, disruption of the mainstream patriarchal ideology. She advocated for Armenian women emancipation. She also advocated for Armenian women's rights, questioning the limits of women's freedom in the public realm, such as their rights in social, political, and economic spheres. Haniel, born in 1884 to 1915, he was a Armenian poet. He founded literature groups and magazines called Mehan, which is a temple. Brought about artistic renaissance to Western Armenian literature. The new writing, the Armenian spirit could be expressed in a temple. Here's Zabel. She was born in 1878 to 1943. She is a surviving woman who fled the country in the 1960s. Her writing and activism played an active role in the surviving for her people. Contributions to collect testimonies from survivors, constructing monumental archives. The Armenian weddings. The Armenians are very big on weddings. It is custom that for a man to ask a woman. Through prior engagement, it is custom for a man to ask for his future bride for her hand the day of the wedding. Funny things happen during the day of the wedding, like teenage girls still like the bride's shoe and hide it. That's one of them. Respect for the elderly. Armenian elderly are treated respectfully. They stay at home with one of their children until one of them passes, most of the elderly passes on. Caroline stated to me before that that they're very respectful to the elderly and that they do not just brush them off and put them in homes, but that one of the children always will take in one of their family members, their parent, grandmother, whoever to take care of them for them. The formal way that they address the elderly is by ma'am, sir, Mr., or Mrs., no matter who it is. Armenians show love and hospitality to the elderly. They teach the youth to do the same. Armenians face numerous challenges from other places, including conquest and genocide. They preserved and maintained their identity through language, art, and faith. They celebrate their independence and remember their fellow man by having monuments built in their honor. Creating, educating, and breaking bread together, sharing with others the generation about their heritage and identity. Here's my resources. Okay.